So tell me about the late night exercise sessions, because I think I've seen on LinkedIn pictures of you in the gym with a timestamp of like 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's correct. Yeah, it's actually because I had a lot of people asking me how they could become more like me, both in work and just in life, and especially because one of the things is in I used to do fitness consulting.
And hold on one second.
Yeah.
We're not talking 2 or 3 a.m. on a Friday or Saturday night. We're talking like in the middle of the week, 2 or
Yeah.
3 a.m. on like when you've got meetings and stuff going on the next day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's for me it's just the fact that I a lot of people, like, the reason I was putting, like, first and foremost, the reason I was actually posting those was because people were asking me how to become more like me. I said, "Do you really want to?" Because my whole thing is, number one, your physique is it's a lot of society telling you how you should look. I don't think everyone's people might not know this, but I technically was a Bowflex model back in the day, so I'm quite fit. But the truth to me is that I think you should look how you want. Number one, so do you really want to look like me, or is it society telling you that you should look like me, and therefore you want to do it? Because it's a lot of work. That's what I was trying to show people when I was posting this. Is that even I make no excuses. Literally, to get very fit, I put it in no matter what. And that was what I was showing, is that even at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday night, or I guess that's Wednesday morning, I'd still go to the gym, and that's what it takes to actually look this way while also hustling in business to try to build these different businesses. And so for me, my whole thing was like, if you really want this is the work that has to be put in. And so I was just showing people the hustle that needed to be put in to be able to get what they were looking for. So a lot of the times what I look for when I'm talking to people is I'm looking for what is your actual goal and what is the strategy that gets you there. And again, to get fit, it's pretty simple answer. It's work out and eat right. It just, most people don't want to do that. So I showed people this is what it looks like. And a lot of times when someone says to ask me a question of, like, how to get more fit, and they said, how long have you worked out? I'll say, 21 years. And they said, I don't want to do that. That's too long. And it's like, well, then you're not going to get what I have technically, because I put in 21 years
Right.
of consistent working out. And it's the same with a lot of things when it comes down to people who, they might see your life or my life, and they want to better it in terms of career. Well, there's a lot of groundwork that has to go into place. And I think that's where Gary Vee was very freeing, is that he showed how much groundwork he had to put in to be able to get where he was. And it's the same for myself in my life, is the same with you. Don't get me wrong, there's some people who get really lucky and just everything's handed to
Sure.
them.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of hard work that goes into it, and that hard work is not something that's shown a lot in media. So what I did is I showed that work.
Well, that's very cool. And yeah, that is kind of the same thing that you see with Gary Vee, like you said. He's showing people what it actually takes to achieve some of the things, if you have to work for it. Like you said, there is such thing as winning the lottery. Some people in life didn't have to work for it, but for the most of us, that's how we're going to get anything, is by working for it. And I think it's great to have people like you or others that put out examples that show everyone, yeah, this is what it looks like to work towards what you want. And it's a very positive example.
Yeah, it's also good to know why you want something, right? Because I think it's one of the things that when it comes down to, like, the workout and fitness side, is that there was a time in my life where I was worried that maybe that I'd put too much weight into my own opinion of how I looked. So, like, maybe I'm just working out because I have some sort of insecurity and this is something I need to cover. So I just decided to get as overweight as I possibly could. And I gained 60 pounds or so. It was like around 57 pounds, just to see what it would be like. And I can tell you that afterwards, I was just as happy. I loved myself just as much when I was, I call him Fat Brian versus Thin Brian. And I mean, like, that's the thing, is that I think a lot of people should ask themselves the question of everything they're doing, even when they're going into, like, accounting, for example, right? Why are you getting into it? Like, ask yourself those questions, and also ask what you want in the future, because that can help you create a roadmap of where do you want to go. Like, if you know that I want to be the leader of a firm because I love firm work, I love working with clients, all these other things, because you've tasted it now and you like it, then what are the things you need to do to get there? Well, you should probably work at a firm to get the experience, right? That's the type of thing where, and when it comes down to, I want to be fit just because I want to feel better, well, that's good. Now what do we need to do to get there? Map that out. So
Yeah, I think that's, that really struck a chord with my own experience, having been on the faculty at Portland State and teaching accounting students for many, many years. accounting in most business schools, the undergraduate accounting degree is one of the harder degrees in the business school
Yes.
that students might get. And so, everything's relative, right? I think from my experience or whatever, the accounting degree is not necessarily as quantitatively difficult as a hard science degree or a mathematics degree or something of that nature. But in comparison to kind of the peer group in an undergraduate business school, it seems like very hard and a lot of work, right? And so, I would always, every term that I taught, I would always have a pretty good percentage of students that were not doing well or maybe kind of failing out of the program, and a lot of times I'd ask the exact question that you asked. I mean, I'd be sitting with them in office hours or grabbing coffee with them or whatever to kind of just talk about their careers. And what the first question, or one of the things that I always ask them is, well, why are you even doing this? Have you reverse engineered your life? Have you kind of projected out who you want to be and how this degree and this program and this class even is going to help you get there? And because my opinion is that if people didn't know that, it was just too much work without having that kind of inherent motivation of why they wanted to do this. The work wasn't worth it, which is exactly what many of them complained about, is this class is way too much work. It's not worth it. Why are we having to do all this? And my answer was, well, you tell me, why are you having to do all this, right? Have you even sat down and thought about that for yourself? Because for the ones who do know why they're doing it, they don't think it's too much work, because they're learning something that is going to be super important for the rest of their lives and their careers.
I have a similar story to that, because also this wasn't discussed in this podcast, but back in the day, I was also an instructor. I was at Oregon State, and I was instructing for the health and human science. I have a very strange background, by the way. So I've dual masters in accounting and also physiology, so biochemistry of exercise. So I did one of the more hard sciences back in the day when I was around 30 or so. But one student came up to me afterwards to talk to me about like her future, because she was just wanted to chat, and I started talking to her, and I had the exact same question. I was like, what do you want to do in the future? And she said, I want to sell cars. So why are you studying physiology? Like, if you want to sell cars, why are you studying physiology? She goes, well, I'm not sure, actually, now they asked this question. I was like, do you like exercise? And she's like, well, no. I said, then what are you doing here? It's like, well, it's kind of seems cool. I said, honestly, I think you need to like go back and think about what you want in life, because the truth is, if you really want to sell cars, you can do that right now. You don't even have to go to college, honestly. Like, college is going to be a very expensive pathway for you to sell a car. The interesting thing is that 2 weeks later, she quit the university and ended up going to sell cars, but that was not something the university wanted to be. They were not happy about that. But it's the truth. I say, first thing, don't let anyone else tell you how you should live your life. You should look at the things you want to do, and obviously don't hurt people, but look for the things that you want to do and see the types of steps and things necessary, and if you're willing to make that sacrifice to get there. It was something I talked a lot about when it came down to my consulting, when it came down to fitness. What are you willing to give up? Where do you want to go? And how long is it going to take you, and will you actually do it? Because if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Just and being real with yourself really helps, because the truth is, if I was working with people in the past and they said they wanted to eat like McDonald's still, I'm not going to stop them from eating it. You should eat what you want. Eat good food. Be happy. And it's the same when it comes down to accounting too, because just as you say, I can resonate that is purportedly accounting is the hardest topic in business if you're going to get a degree. That's what most people will say, because it's much more technical. It's a lot more memorization that needs to happen, unlike a lot of the other degrees. So a lot of people would argue that's probably the most difficult when it comes down to the pure business side of things. But I did remember meeting people who, I don't know what happened. It might have been parents. It might have been something else. But someone imposed to them that they had to get an accounting degree. And I always found that very strange. It happened with a lot of my friends, actually.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah.
So strange to me. And I thought it was so bizarre that they were putting themselves through this punishment when they didn't even want what they were doing. And it was interesting to see, because I even have colleagues now where I won't name them, but I see them and I remember the fact that they weren't, they didn't really like accounting. They did it just because someone told them to, and it was a good degree. And that always makes me a little bit worried. Like I don't want other people to be like that. So I try to save them from themselves almost.
Yeah, I think that's very prevalent in our industry, and I think a lot of people just assume, well, no one could really like accounting, no one could really enjoy it, so that's just the profession. It's all a bunch of people who are just doing it because it's a good gig to make money. And I think it's like, well, actually, I do like it. I was very passionate about learning it and the rules, and did find it very, very interesting academically in school, and have continued to find it interesting in the aspects that I could exercise and consulting with clients as well. So I think that, yeah, there actually are those of us who at some level maybe don't enjoy all of it, but did enjoy and do enjoy accounting as a topic, as a profession, as a discipline. And so yeah, go for what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is interesting to see those when people. I think one of the difficulties too, just in general, is that you as an educator before, and myself as well, is that I think a lot of times people just don't know what they want either. It makes it a little bit difficult. It's hard. It's a hard question. What do you want in life? It's one of those, like, I don't know. I'm a kid. You know?
Yeah.
And even when you're an adult, you still think you're a kid, right?
Referencing Gary Vee again. It's all about self-awareness.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Brian's going to be back. He's committed. So stay tuned for him in future episodes.